Next month. Good. Well, good morning, everybody, again. So I want to have experienced freedom from discord in my own household. And so I was reminded of an announcement that I was supposed to make while I was up here that I didn't make. And that is about spiritual living circles. Those of you who were here last week, we have a spiritual living circle. And a spiritual living circle is a group that meets in a person's home to examine some questions around some deep thoughts, around usually it's articles out of the Science of Mind magazine, and to explore them and to explore what they mean in our lives. And so my beloved Cynthia, if you'll stand for a moment, please, facilitates the one spiritual circle we have going, spiritual living circle we have going, and we're ready to start to expand into having more spiritual living circles. So if that idea interests you, either as a participant or even if you're interested in saying, I'm willing to host that in my home, maybe have somebody else come and facilitate it, or I'm willing to learn how to facilitate that. If you could see Cynthia after the service, she would be happy to talk to you about that. And I love spiritual living circles. Yesterday at the Holistic Fair, we had a number of people from our own congregation who were doing various things here. And the comment was, I never knew that he or she did that. And we got to see people doing things, you get to know people a little bit on Sunday, right? But you don't really get to know them. You have to do something to join in, whether it's a class or the spiritual living circle is a great example, or a workshop, or get into the choir with people, or something to get into where you can start to know each other and be known by other people. And so this is a great way to get to actually know people on a little deeper basis, and for you to be seen and also to connect with people. So I just wanted to mention that from Cynthia. Thank you. Before, at the first service, Reverend Sue and I were talking and about freedom from discord, and she said that Pema Chodron had this wonderful thought that we get into discord when we get attached to the way things were. The way things were, and we hold either a person or a situation as that, okay, as how it should be. And the truth is that, as Gandhi said, we're always evolving. Gandhi said, yes, I used to do that, but I have evolved since then. I have moved on since then. How many of you can relate to that statement? We've all done stuff, right? And we've evolved since then. Okay? And so the whole of life is fluid. Even whoever that person is who's the solid block in your life, who you think has no hope of ever evolving a bit, they're a solid wall of granite. You know who I'm talking about, right? We all have somebody like that in our life that we're absolutely convinced is never, ever going to get it, okay? Whatever it is, okay? All of us are evolving. Some take longer than others, some take shorter than others, but we're all evolving. And so to have that awareness that whatever we're in, as it says, there's a passage in the Bible that says this, this too shall pass, or it came to pass. All of this is coming to pass. And we get to walk through it and pass through it, unless we get attached and stuck where we used to be. So I love this reading. We kind of created it a couple days apart because I hadn't heard that Pema Chodron thing. But Ernest Holmes' idea that if a person takes images of thought only from our previous experiences, then we will continue to be in bondage with those previous experiences that we have created. So we call ourselves a new thought movement because it's think new, have something new in our thoughts, open to the new, open to the fresh, and don't get stuck on the old. So that's my mini sermon. And that's not the one I wrote. That's the one that kind of evolved this morning as we were talking. So we're looking at the idea of freedom from discord, and we're looking at a year-long theme of creating a world that works for all. There's over 100 centers for spiritual living around the world that are working with this idea of lifting the consciousness of all of our people, of looking at the idea, the vision of creating a world that works for all. Isn't that a great vision? Creating a world that works for all. That's not all people, that's all. The two, as I love Reverend Lynn Fritz did the Native American opening for our yesterday morning for our holistic fair. The two-leggeds and the four-leggeds, as she calls it. And the plants and the rocks and the planet itself. A world that works for all. And to have that vision To let ourselves be transformed by that vision. In this teaching, we have a set of what we call what we believe, and this is one of my favorite parts of that little section. Ernest Holmes said, "We believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete emancipation from all discord of every nature." Isn't that cool? That's the core of life. That's the ultimate goal of life, is to be free from all discord. And he goes on to say, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. Is sure to be attained by all. Now, there are days that I look at my life and I think, it's going to take another 25, 35, 150 years or more lifetimes maybe to evolve to that point for me. But whatever it is, I love it. It's sure to be attained by all. We're all going to get there. If in the old school thinking, a way of thought, we're all going to heaven. We don't believe heaven is a place. We believe it is a state of mind. But we're all going to get there. So, discord, the idea of discord, Merriam-Webster says discord is a lack of agreement or harmony. I actually asked Chris to make sure there was no discord in the music, too, because we can have discords. Yeah, but but it's a lack of agreement or harmony as between people, things, or ideas. Anybody ever experienced a little lack of harmony anywhere in their lives? Yeah. Discord begins where? Within ourselves, yeah, within ourselves. Because the nature of the universe is harmony. See, there's only one life, right? And it gets along with itself. Right? It likes itself. In fact, it's infinite love, so it loves itself. Since there is only one and it all gets along with itself, then if I'm experiencing discord anywhere, then I am believing that I am somehow separate from the harmony of the universe. The harmony of the universe, by the way, still exists, right? But I'm believing or perceiving that I'm separate from it. Okay? And so the challenge is to start to rearrange that. This challenge is to start to look at where it is that I'm stuck in believing that. I'm believing in separation, and or I am believing that the infinite intelligence doesn't know what it's doing, and that I know better than it does how things should be. Anybody besides me ever know how the universe should be operating? So this is our ego self, our self that believes in separation, our self that believes in the illusion that is creating that within us. Our self that gets stuck in, I believe what I perceive out here, which oftentimes is based on an old thought or an old perception or a misperception. And I believe that, I buy into it, and then I feel separate. Instead of piercing the veil and looking through and saying, what's the real truth? So I've been working, as many of you know, with Byron Katie's. I love this book that she has called Loving What Is. And we've been working with that, we worked with that in this Wednesday night class. And the title is Loving What Is. It's not tolerating what is. It's not putting up with what is. It's not coping with what is. It's not just getting by with what is. It's loving what is. She says there are three kinds of business in the universe. My business, the one that I can control, okay, the one that I'm responsible for. There's your business. Guess who's in charge of that one? Not me. Not me. You are in charge of that one. That's your business. And then finally, God's business. See, I don't care how I would like the weather to be this week. It's going to be what it is, right? That's not my business to control. Okay? So there's God's business, that which is beyond my, your, or anyone else's control. By God, it's I don't mean a big guy in the sky. For those of you who are here for the first time, I mean that kind of infinite intelligence that is everywhere present. That's what I talk about when I use that word, just so we're clear. So if I am living your life, if you're living your life, and I am mentally living your life, who's living my life? The lights are on, but nobody's home, right? I'm not present in my own life. Byron Katie says, to think I know what's best for anyone else is to be out of my business. Even in the name of love, it is pure arrogance. And the result is tension anxiety and fear. Do I know what's right for me? That is my only business. Do I know what's right for me? And sometimes, I don't know about you, but it takes me a while to figure that out. It takes me some time to sit and listen. It takes me some time to notice what's happening in my life and to go, well, duh, okay? And to start to come back into what's my business, what's right for me. So, if I'm feeling discord, I want to ask myself a powerful question, and that question is, whose business am I in? Whose business am I in if I'm feeling discord? And if I ask this question, it will free me. And what I find is usually when I start asking that question and start listening, I start laughing. Just like, oh yeah, there I go again. I'm in so-and-so's business. You know, I know how Cynthia should run her life. It's not working. That doesn't work well for me. When we get into that, we know how to run each other's life, it doesn't work well for us. When we get into loving each other and accepting each other as we are, it works well for us. Fortunately, we spend more time in that second part. There was a person in our class on Wednesday who kept coming back to but this person, I've got to deal with this person, I've got to rescue this person, I've got to, and was constantly going back into this person's business, and she would catch herself and pull herself back out, and then 2 minutes later she'd be back into that person's business, catch herself and pull her back out, and finally she just broke down laughing, and she goes, I really want to be in this person's business, apparently. And so a question that we might want to take a look at is, what is it that calls me to be in that person's business instead of my own business? There's a wonderful old Zen saying that's, when I've got one finger pointed out at somebody else, I've got 3 pointed back at me. What is it? Another one is I can't see in another person what I cannot see in myself. So if I think you're a jerk, guess what I think about some aspect of myself? Okay? And so I have to take a look and take responsibility. What's in my business? What's in my heart? What's in my life that is ready to be healed at this point in time, that's ready to be seen in clarity? So this question of whose business is it can bring me back to myself. It will always bring me back to myself. And I'm reminded of the story in the Christian Bible it's labeled the prodigal son, but I always like to refer to it as the loving presence, the loving father story, really. But it says that the son at one point in time came to himself. He's sopping pigs, he had hit bottom, and he came to himself. Came to himself is he started to ask the question, what life am I living? Who am I? Whose business am I in? Once he asked that question, he started making wiser decisions and things started working better, right? Okay, if you know that story. He came back to that. How many of us have found ourselves slopping pigs at some point in time in our lives? Not literally necessarily, you know what I'm talking about. Metaphorically. Can we ask the question, whose business am I in? When we come back to our business, we first of all become present to spirit within. If I'm in somebody else's business, I'm not listening to my own inner voice. I'm not listening to my own spirit. I'm not listening to my own heart, because I'm too busy camped out in somebody else's life. Secondly, we become truly present in our own life. We become truly present. Most of us are not present in our own lives. I remember an interview with Tony Robbins, the motivational speaker, years ago. He was talking about, somebody was asking him, isn't it hard to hypnotize people? Because he was doing hypnosis at the time. And he said, no. He said, no, it's not hard to hypnotize people. The hardest thing is to get people out of the hypnosis they're already in, the trance they're already in. To get ourselves to wake up out of whatever trance we're already in. So can I be really, really present with my own life instead of with the stuff that I believe and have been hypnotized to believe is important? And we begin to make wiser decisions when we come back to ourselves. So that's the first part of this. We want to ask the question, whose business am I in? And if I'm not in my business, I'm in the wrong business. The second learning is, this is so simple, but it's so profound. Ready? What is, is. What is, is. Most of us get into arguments with reality, right? I don't want it to be that way, but it is that way. See, I can wish that it was not going to be 107 degrees here in Reading next week. And I can be upset about that, and I can be angry about that, and I can be all that things, and guess what? It's going to be 107 in Reading this week if the predictions are correct. It doesn't take my say-so, my approval, disapproval will have nothing to do with it. Okay? What is, is. Can I be present and just see what is? See, if I look at that and just say, oh, it's going to be 107. I'm going to go visit Chris and Diana over in Fort Bragg this week. Where it's 68 degrees, I'm going to take time to be in my air-conditioned office, home, and maybe jump in the pool at midnight. I don't have a pool, but we'll find somebody who has a pool. I think Tracy's invited me over to her pool once in a while. So, whatever it is, I can make a wiser decision rather than sitting there going, it shouldn't be 107. It's only June. It shouldn't be 107 here, or whatever, okay? I know those of you who don't know me well, I've only been here 2 years. I'm still adapting from Seattle weather. It's a little different here weather-wise. So, to me, 80 is a nice warm day. 85 is getting kind of hot. 87 is pushing it really hard. But it doesn't matter because what is, isn't it? And I've chosen to be here because I love this community and want to be here and feel called to be here, know that I'm called to be here. And so this is just part of the trip. I get to get comfortable with 107. I get to get comfortable with 115 probably later this summer, right? And thank God it's my third summer. I won't leave, it's just, I won't melt, and I know that now. Most or all of our discord comes from wanting reality to be different than what it is. It comes from wanting reality to be different than what it is. And what that looks like is, I should be something different than what I am. You should be, they should be, the world, the universe, whatever, should be something different than what it is. And when I'm living in that consciousness, I am out of harmony. I'm out of that place of peacefulness. I am living in discord. Can we be present? Just present with what is. Now, it doesn't mean we have to condone or even like what is, but can I just be present that what is, is? If I'm in a dysfunctional relationship, if I have a work that I don't like, if I have a health issue that is challenging, can I be present that it is what it is? Now, I don't have to leave it there. I can make wise decisions, but I first have to come to the place of saying, it is what it is. Because if I'm in denial of what is, there's an old religious science minister joke that says a priest, a rabbi, and a religious science minister all die and end up in hell together, okay? Hell, the place, okay, this is the story. And the priest sits there and goes, well, I know why I'm here. I love meat, and I have barbecued ribs almost every single Friday, And the rabbi says, I just, bacon, man, it just was my downfall. I loved it, and I wasn't supposed to eat pork, and here I am. I know why I'm here, And the religious science minister sits there and goes, this is not hell and it's not hot. This is not hell and it's not hot. This is not hell and it's not hot. I'm in disagreement with just what is. Can I move into that agreement? Ernest Holmes says that we don't deny the existence of a condition, but we can deny that it has to continue to exist. It has to continue to go on. If I have a health challenge, I have a health challenge. Now what am I going to do about it? What path am I going to take? What am I going to do about that? I had two friends who were both diagnosed with MS at the same time years and years and years ago when I was living in Seattle. One decided that his process would be to drink more. That's kind of what he already did. And within a couple of years, he was in a wheelchair with all the shakes and all the stuff like that. The other one had been an Olympic level cycling athlete, and she decided, because she had that what I call winner consciousness or success consciousness, that she was going to win with this disease. She was not going to let this disease take her down. She was going to find ways. And so she worked with regular allopathic medicine. She worked with holistic stuff. She worked with mental and energy work. She did everything she could. And the last time I saw her was probably 6 years ago, and she was still perfectly healthy. She, by that time, had a strapping, about 15-year-old son, actually about 15-year-old son, that she had given birth to after the diagnosis. She was not able to race at the Olympic level anymore, but she had eventually gone back to local racing, bicycle racing, which is what she was really good at. And this person didn't show any outer signs of MS because they had two different attitudes of, what am I going to do about this? One of my favorite things I mentioned in the first service, and I see my friend who sent this to me, last Sunday I kind of whined on Facebook in the morning that I was having trouble getting up. It was my first Sunday back of having 2 Sundays off, and it's like, oh, I don't want to get up. And so my friend Cherie, who's right over there in the purple and white, sent me this little Facebook message, and it ran through the 5 stages of grief. One of denial and bargaining and anger and all that stuff. And it said the 5 stages of awakening, or waking up. The 5 stages of waking up. Okay? I can bargain with the universe all I want to, but guess what? I still have to wake up and go. And if you understand that on a metaphorical level, that's a very deep process. When we're talking about waking up, not just as getting out of bed, but waking up. And we can be angry, we can deny it, we can bargain, we can all that stuff, and we're still being called to wake up. So when we can see what is ours, what is, without resistance to its isness, just noticing this is what is, just being present. Teachings like Zen teach us to just simply be present with something. Can I be present with this? An artist, I'm looking at my friend who does watercolor classes here. An artist is present with whatever it is that he or she is painting, sculpting, bringing into form. They're just present with it. When I used to do photography, I would just be present with whatever it was. Can I be present in my life with what is just present? Just noticing, this is what is. Now, what do I want to do? Byron Katie says, when we stop opposing reality, action becomes simple, fluid, kind, and fearless. Action becomes simple, fluid, kind, and fearless. Would you like to live a life that way? So if we can just simply remember, I stay in my business, and I accept that what is. I don't have to say it has to continue, but what is, and just be present with that. We start to open up to that ability. So there's 4 questions that will help us to start to diffuse our stuck thinking. The first one, when we find it, is to ask the question, is it true? Is it true? If I have this judgment about somebody, is it true? And the second question kind of follows that. Can I absolutely know that it's true? If I think that so-and-so is a jerk, can I absolutely know that that's true? Because you know what? I've found that if I start to pay attention, even the worst jerk sometimes accidentally does something nice. Because it's within us, right? That kindness, that love is within us. Can I absolutely know that it's true? And usually the answer to that is no, I can't absolutely know that it's true. The third question then is, how do I react? What happens when I believe that thought? When I start believing this thought, what happens? And usually the reaction is not a peaceful one, right? When I start believing this old stuff, when I get stuck on how things were, or what I think somebody is, or what they should be, or what I should be, or how the universe should be, I'm not sitting in peace. And one of the great ways, kind of balancing questions or extra questions to ask with that is, can I think of a peaceful reason to keep this thought? Can I think of a peaceful reason to keep this thought? And most of the times, if we're stuck in thoughts of discord, there is no peaceful reason to keep this thought. And then we get to ask ourselves, Course in Miracles has this wonderful question, Would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? Would you rather be right or would you rather be at peace? Okay? I one time had a person say, well, can't I be both? And sometimes, yes. I find most of the times, no. And then the fourth question, final question is, who would I be without that thought? Who would I be without the story that I'm believing here? Who would I be without that thought? And to just notice that. And sometimes what we find is, I don't even know who I'd be without that thought, because that thought has been so ingrained in running my life for so long that I have no idea who I'd be. Would I be willing to find out who I might be without this discordant thought running my life? Would I be willing? So this week I invite us to do three things in our spiritual practice. The first one is to commit to live more peacefully this week. Have a willingness to live more peacefully. Are we good with that? That wherever we are in our own internal process. And that doesn't take anything to change out here, right? Your favorite political candidate can still be out there, right? Your favorite political candidate to hate can still be out there. Okay? Or whatever issue. Can I live more peacefully? Whose business am I in? Mine. Number two is ask that question. Pay attention to that question. Notice this week, whose business my thinking is in. Whose business am I in? And to catch yourself. And sometimes I find that's like meditation, where the mind wanders and goes here and there, and I have to bring it back to center and bring it back to center, because suddenly I find myself, I'm over here in this person's business, I'm over here in that business, and bring myself back. Whose business am I? I'm going to come back to my business. I'm going to come back to my business. Whose business am I in? And notice why I'd rather be in their business than in my own. What am I avoiding here at home? What am I avoiding here at home? And then the final third practice is to just simply recognize what is and let it be what it is. To just be present. Be present with what is. It just is. It's not right or wrong. I don't have to condone it. I don't even have to let it continue, but it is. And to recognize that I can create something new. So are we willing to play with that as our spiritual practice this week? Okay. So I'm going to commit to live more peacefully. I'm going to notice whose business I am, and I'm going to recognize what is and let it be what is. So have fun playing with that. I'm going to close with, my closing quote is actually several what she calls Katieisms. These are little one-liners. You'll like these. When you argue with reality, you lose. But only 100% of the time. You move totally away from reality when you believe there is a legitimate reason to suffer. You move totally away from reality. Because reality is what? The infinite love of the universe, the infinite freedom of the universe. I move totally away from reality when I believe there is a legitimate reason to suffer. Reality is always kinder than the story we are believing about it. Isn't that cool? Reality is always kinder. If there's one infinite universe, one infinite presence, one infinite field of love, it's always kinder than the story I'm believing about it. The fourth one is everything happens for me, not to me. Everything happens for me. And then finally, gratitude is who we are without a story. You want to know who you are without your story? Your gratitude. You're in that place of just thank you. In that place of just being in bliss, in love, and in gratitude. So I invite you this week to play with that, to move into that state, to move out of discord and into that state of love, into that state of gratitude, into that state of just being present with yourself and life. Let's move into prayer for that. So I recognize that there is one infinite presence. Whatever name we give it, it's beyond all the names. One presence that is the harmony of the universe. It's the music of the universe, the song of the spheres. It is the love. It is the wholeness. It is the joy. It is the simplicity. It is the kindness. is the fluidity of life energy. That one infinite presence is all that there is. There's nothing but that. And because of that, each of us has to be one of it. We are already one of this infinite presence. One of this life, one of this light, one of this love, one of this harmony. I already am it. Whether I remember it or forget it, I still am within and one of this, expressing it uniquely as myself. And so from that awareness of our oneness with this infinite one, I speak my word, knowing that we allow this truth to move through us, to liberate us, to free us from the places where we have been stuck in discord, the places where we have been stuck in our thinking, to where we have been stuck in pain, and whether that's been physical pain, mental pain, emotional pain, or spiritual pain, that we are free from that. We liberate ourselves. We are responsible for our lives and for our good. And so out of that sense of love, we are willing to say yes. Yes to our good. Yes to that flow of life through us. And for this I am grateful. For each and every person who is saying that yes on this planet, I am ever so grateful. For all the ways that we let go of discord and move into harmony, move into peace, move into a more loving relationship with each other. More ways to allow the light that is the truth of our being to expand and express in, through, and as this planet, I am ever so grateful. And for the light itself, the spirit itself, the infinite presence itself, I am ever so grateful. And so in consciousness, I release this word planted into what we call the law, the growth process, that which knows how to bring it into manifestation and fruition. I let go of thinking that it's my job to bring it into form. I simply am willing to let it move through me into form and to be a co-creator with the universe. I let it be, knowing that it is already so. And together we affirm that by saying, and so it is. Have a blessed week.